It's here, the talk of the town or the new baby in the house, or as we've observed, the opinion divider. ECB's newest competition, the 100, is all set to start on July 21. Let's see what the new month-long tournament has on the outside view.
Well, the 100 is a new action-packed 100-ball format and is divided into the men's and women's competition, both of which will be running parallelly. So the first season was to take place back in 2020, but like most of our travel and party plans, it was pushed back due to the pandemic. 8 city-based teams will be part of the tournament. And, like the name suggests, it's meant to be the shortest version of the game, but it's expected to finish in 2.5 hours and is designed to attract new fans to the game. So what exactly is the 100 though?
100 balls, that's as simple as the name suggests. But it's 100 balls divided into sets of 5 balls each. And at a time, a bowler can deliver 2 sets of 5 balls, that is 10 balls at a stretch. If a bowler chooses to deliver 2 sets of 5 balls each, the umpire will first shout 5 at the end of the first set and then also hold a white card to indicate that the same bowler is continuing the second set. Each bowler can bowl a maximum of 20 balls, and the first 25 balls of an innings will constitute the power play. But there are also some quirky rules in the 100.
So, the new batter will always take strike. This is irrespective of whether they cross during a catch. So, like in the IPL, there will be a strategic timeout, which will last 2.5 minutes for the bowling team. It can be taken any time after the power play, which is the first 25 balls. Coaches can walk out and hand out instructions to their team as well. There will be no more than 5 fielders allowed on the leg side at any point in the innings. Over rates will have to be strictly followed. And if the bowling team is behind the rate, 1 fielder less will be allowed outside the circle. And now, here's the big one. In case of a tied match in a group stage, points will be split. But if teams tie a game in the eliminator, they will play a Super 5. And unlike in the World Cup final, in case that Super 5 is tied, they'll play another Super 5. But if that's also tied, then the team that finished higher in the group stage will proceed to the final. Finally, a modified DLS system will be used in rain-affected games, using the algorithm to reflect balls rather than overs. Now, let's look at the teams themselves. The 100, like we mentioned before, will see 8 participating teams compete in the league stage, with the top 3 advancing to the knockouts. When the competition was announced in 2019 and the draft process began in 2020, it attracted some of the biggest stars across the women's game. Multiple World Cup winners like Meg Lanning, Elise Perry, Alyssa Healy, and Jess Jonasson were a few of the first to make themselves available for the tournament. Sophie Devine signed up as well. However, as uncertainty took over sporting schedules, bubbles became the new norm, and travel restrictions and mandatory quarantine periods weighed heavy on athletes' minds. The withdrawals of players and coaches came thick and fast. Almost the entire Australian playing contingent pulled out ahead of the tournament. But that meant an opportunity for other up-and-coming stars. So each of the 8 competing teams have 3 overseas players in their 15-member squads. Birmingham Phoenix started with 3 of the most dynamic T20 players in the world. Sophie Devine, Ashley Gardner, and Elise Perry were the first to join their roster. Devine, in fact, was meant to lead the side. Of course, she became the first to pull out of the tournament for them and was replaced by India's superstar Shefali Verma. Later, Gardner pulled out and Erin Burns became available. And finally, Elise Perry, who said she would travel for the tournament, pulled out due to personal reasons, which meant Australia's Katie Mack made her way into the tournament as well. Birmingham Phoenix also has a couple of English stars. They will be led by England wicketkeeper Amy Jones. They also have Georgia Elwes, the all-rounder, as part of this squad.
Let's now look at the team of Heather Knight and Tammy Beaumont, London Spirit. Apart from Knight and Beaumont, there is Freya Davies, the England international, the part of this setup. There's also 3 overseas players, very interesting overseas players in Deepti Sharma, Deandra Dottin, as well as Chloe Tryon. Given what happened in that England-India series, I wonder if Deepti Sharma has rubbed Heather Knight off the wrong way.
Forgive the pun, but Manchester have managed to keep their original squad together. Kate Cross will lead the side, and she has her trusty Lancashire lieutenants, Sophie Eccleston and Alex Hartley alongside her. Of course, the original overseas trio as well, Mignon Dupree, Lizelle Lee, and the Indian Kate Cross, Harmanpreet Kaur, are part of the squad as well.
And look at the Northern Superchargers 15-member squad, and there's a lot of Northern Diamond players in there. Lauren Winfield Hill will lead them, and she has Alice Davidson Richards for company. There's also Sarah Callis, the Netherlands batter. But you talk about the overseas squads, there have been withdrawals, and Alyssa Healy is the biggest of them all, and so is Nicola Carey. But remember, they managed to kind of get good replacements in Laura Timmins as well as Laura Wolfhard, apart from Jemimah Rodrigues, who is the 3rd overseas player in this Northern Superchargers squad.
Maddie Villiers and Fran Wilson are Oval Invincibles' only 2 ECB centrally contracted players. But of course, they do have a good group of young English players, most of whom play for the Southeast Stars. Rihanna Southby, Alice Capsey, Natasha Farrant, and Daniel Gregory all form the core of this Oval Invincibles squad. And they will be joined by South Africa's power couple, Marizanne Kaap and Dane van Niekerk, who bring with them their pace spearhead. Shabnam Ismail replaced Rachel Haynes, who chose not to make the trip to England quite early on.
Southern Brave is the team, and I say that just because of Sophia Dunkley's presence. She's been the toast of the summer, hasn't she? But apart from her, there's Daniel White and Anya Strupsol, the centrally contracted English players in that Southern Brave unit. Let's talk about the overseas. There's Smriti Mandhana, Stephanie Taylor, both of whom reunite after their Western Storm days. There's also Amanda Jade Wellington, who comes in for Amelia Kerr.
Natalie Sibber, that's the team. Enough said. Nah, I'm just kidding. Trent Rockets will be led by Sibber, of course, but they have much more to them than just one player. Catherine Brunt will be their spearhead, and likely supported by the gentle in-swing of the Associate Player of the Decade, Catherine Bryce. And of course, there's leg spinner Sarah Glenn. Looking at the overseas players, Trent Rockets also had to do a massive overhaul. The original contingent consisted of 3 Australians, Sophie Molyneux, Annabelle Sutherland, and Elise Villani. But now, there's a Kiwi in the mix. Recently retired New Zealand wicketkeeper batter Rachel Priest joins all-rounder Heather Graham and the belligerent Sammy Jo Johnson in the Trent Rockets squad.
Now let's look at Welsh Fire, the team where perhaps the fastest stumper in the competition, Sarah Taylor, is. Apart from Taylor, there's Katie George, the centrally contracted English player. Now let's take a look at the overseas players, and that's the department where Welsh Fire, the Cardiff-based team, had to do a lot of scrambling. Jess Jonathan, Meg Lanning, and Beth Mooney were their original overseas contingent before Jonathan was replaced by Georgia Wareham. But then, all of Wareham, Lanning, and Mooney withdrew, making room for Georgia Redmayne, Sune Lees, and Piper Clary to come in. But unfortunately, Sune Lees was tested positive for COVID-19, which meant that Hayley Matthews got a look in. So that is Welsh Fire for you. Well, that was about the teams of the 100, the women's competition. Let's look at some uncapped players to watch out for next. The first pick I'm going to go with is Charlotte Taylor, the off-spinner, who's set to play for Southern Brave. Remember when T20s came by, they said that the spinners would go out of the sport. They are well here and reveling, and that's why I want to look at Taylor in this shortest format, the 100-ball competition. In the Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy this season, she's picked up 9 wickets already, joined second most in the first half of the tournament. She's also started off well in the Charlotte Edwards Cup. Nobody probably can forget her 6-4 in that final last year of the RHF Trophy for Southern Vipers as well. So she is one of the players to watch out for.
Speaking of players to watch, Manchester Originals' Emma Lamb has been the name on everyone's lips in recent times. She's smashing runs, taking wickets, and banging down that door for England's selection. With over 400 runs and 10 wickets for Northwest Thunder this domestic season, she comes into the competition with a lot of confidence. She scored her maiden T20 century against Sunrisers, the first of the Charlotte Edwards Cup very recently. Before that, there was a rapid half-century against Ireland as well. She has an aggressive style of play at the top of the order and also has the ability to pick up wickets with the new ball and in the middle overs with her wily off-spin. One would assume that she continues that good form in this competition and is going to be one of Manchester Originals' big players this tournament.
A spinner done, an opening top order batter done. Now the third pick for a player to watch out for is Issy Wong, the tear-away teenage fast bowler who plays for Central Sparks in domestic circuit and is part of the Birmingham Phoenix setup for the 100 women's competition. 9 wickets in the Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy this season. Once again, the second joint most in that competition so far. She's very fast, also has a 5 for this season, and she's been earmarked for greater things. And she was also part of the reserves when England travelled to New Zealand earlier this year and played West Indies last summer as well. So she's been around the national setup and interested to see how she does in this very short format, which seemingly is in favor of the batter.
The shorter the format, you'd think youngsters would probably be our choice. But I'm picking a 30-something. Don't blame me. Northern Superchargers roped in Laura Kimmins, the second Laura in their team, as a replacement for Nicola Carey. At 30, she's no spring chicken. But I don't think it would be far from the truth to say she's possibly one of the most powerful and unorthodox uncapped players going around in the women's game. In WBBL 06, she was a star for Brisbane Heat, striking it over 200. And if you look at the history of the WBBL, she is the fastest scoring batter in the competition. In a format where batters are expected to go slam bang from the very start, I think Kimmins is going to be a standout player. Hopefully, she can bring her best for the Superchargers. They'll be counting a lot on her. Well, we've given you all the information, told you about the teams, the players, the withdrawals. So, if you've picked your favorite teams and players, let us know in the comments below. And if not, make your decisions quickly because there's a tournament beginning soon. And remember, for all updates, follow Women's Crick Zone. Until next time, see ya.